pleasure to introduce Mr. Michael Exler and Mr. J.C. Shashevsky, or as I like to call him, J.C. Shashevsky. That's a tongue twister for every DJ and MC out there in the world, I promise. Alright guys, do me a favor. Make some noise for these guys, Oracle! What's up, everybody? Everybody enjoying those in Chicago so far? Come on guys, give me a little bit something more than that. That's better. So, welcome to the Return of the Living Dead panel. So, without further ado, we're going to start introducing everybody. First and foremost, a legend, Karen. Next we have the lovely Jewel Shepherd. John Phillips. Next we have Linnea Quigley. Next, Mr. Brian Peck. Wherever you lay. Up next, the beautiful Beverly Rambo. Mr. Tom Matthews. Mr. Blue Gulager. We also have Mr. Bill Colbert.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Bill.
We have a birthday today.
Yeah.
Mr. Blue Gulager is 21 years young. On three. 1, 2, 3.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Blue. Happy birthday to you.
Alright, so everyone, you know, there's been an amazing documentary on this film that Mr. Coppola was involved in, entitled More Brains. There have been other reunions, but does it ever get old getting back together?
It's younger every year.
First of all, I just want to say, I hope I look as good as Clue when I'm his age. No, I must say that it's the most interesting thing about it is I've made an awful lot of old movies, and no cast ever sticks together like this one. It's most unusual. One other picture I did with my wife in Greece, and a lot of those folks still stay together, but most of them were naked during the movie. So that makes a difference. But this cast is most unusual in the fact that they work so well together, and we're our own little repertory company, wouldn't you say, or do you want to say anything?
Well, first of all, we've been forced.
It really is a pain in the ass.
I just wanted to point out that we're forced together a couple of times a year, and that's the only reason we even talk to each other. No, it's not true. No, it's not true at all. No, I was talking about, I was at work until very late yesterday and flew in here, and I was telling the people that I work with on the show now that this is like the most unique experience, because who makes a movie and then 30 years later still hangs out with the entire cast a few times a year, and it's pretty cool. It's amazing. And the fact that we all, enjoy each other and have fun and get drunk together, it's nice. Well, you had gone to bed last night. We got drunk. There was karaoke right here on the stage that you missed out on. And Jägermeister. Where is it? People will just pass out booze if you just show up.
I just want to say one thing we all owe Beverly a great hand of sweet love to, because Beverly really holds everybody together and runs the little group beautifully with a She is not just a pretty face with naught behind it. No, she has a very nice behind.
What do we say? I don't have anything to say yet. Oh God. Okay. I'm saying something. Go Chugga Chugga! Thank you!
Normally Jewel won't shut up, but then you hand her a microphone and she has nothing to say. I don't believe it's true. Come on, Jewel.
Well, let me ask you guys, especially with the addition of James here, it's a very special reunion. How do you guys feel about, you're a very special man. With the addition of a very special reunion, how is it for you guys that you've been doing reunions for years now, and just the fandom has grown and grown and grown from the day that it kind of took off? What's that like for you to have that just love for a film that you did a few years ago, and it just keeps growing?
Crazy. It's crazy. And then we have their Facebook friends here, and it's just you walk up and you get to see them, and you visit. It's like, oh my gosh, how's your family? How's the kids? It's crazy. It's wonderful.
Hi.
You love Facebook, don't you?
I'm not on
No,
it as much as I used
He
to.
plays Candy
be.
Crush.
I'm busy.
The only time I see him on Facebook is Farmville and Candy Crush.
I used to do that damn Farmville thing. That was just like addictive. I had to cut myself off of that thing. It was just like taking up too much time.
He was bumming on his kids. It was so funny.
My kids got on pretending to be me, or I was pretending to. I blamed them for being on my Facebook. They were playing Farmville.
Yeah.
But
Joel
no,
called
Carla's
you out
still on it. She's still playing the darn thing. Her world is huge.
I didn't know.
It's a monster.
This has nothing to do with how special our reunion is.
No, it's true.
But it's
I just want to say happy birthday to Clue. He was telling me a story the other day, how when you get older, there's some things you can that's some consistent things in his life, and he says at 7 o'clock in the morning he'll take a leak, and at 7:15 he'll go to the bathroom, go to number 2, and then 7:30 in the morning he'll wake up and just be clean it all up. So that's what we all have to look forward to. Okay.
But he still walks.
He still walks,
in
yes.
Hollywood, and
Yeah.
I live in.
I can tell you, Clue
No, I ran into Clue on. I was going down up La Brea, And Clue's walking across the crosswalk. I said, Clue, what are you doing walking across a crosswalk? I said, you'll make more money on Santa Monica.
He literally will walk 10 miles. He lives in Hollywood and I live about, I guess, like 10, 15 miles away. He was walking by my house. I'm like, what are you doing? No, I'm dead serious. So I picked him up and took him to my house.
Let Blue talk about this. Blue, you should talk about this.
He walks everywhere. Did you walk to the airport?
Is Ginger Lynn on the panel? Oh, I guess not. I am 85 years old today, and I've never been kissed. And boy. Oh my God! Oh, good Lord. Is Ginger Lynn on the panel? That's ridiculous. I've never seen such a silly bunch of film junkies in my life. All of us are just film junkies, I guess. Most of you know that or maybe you don't, I'm a Cherokee Indian. And my name Clue, 15 people have asked me, where'd you get that name? I said, well, I was named like all Indian babies are named, Cherokee Indian babies anyway. When the baby's born, the first thing the mother sees, she names that baby. So when I was born, my mother looked out the window and saw a red bird flying overhead. And the Cherokee Indian name for red bird is Clue Clue. Clue Clue. So they call me Clue. I'm glad she didn't look out the window and see an outhouse. Well, you can see why I'm 85.
So a question for all of you. You each played a very memorable role. Did the director allow you to add any of your personality into the role?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Dan was good. He had expectations, but he let your own personality kind of take over, like in the scene where we're all getting out of the car at the cemetery, when we first see the cemetery. I decided instead of going out the doors, I'd go over the windshield and slide down the hood. And he just, let you kind of do what you wanted.
Yeah, I think in the audition process, he did a lot of his best work. He made us, we all had to get together and work together for a long time just to get the job. He was looking for very specific qualities in each of us. And he saw qualities in each of us that we may not have seen in ourselves. And then he brought them out. What's so funny in the movie? And then the older we got, the more we would look back at the movie and say, like, wow, I really wasn't, for me, a nerd who was out of place and nobody liked me. But, and I had that feeling inside, what the hell is so funny? The director did a great job, and yeah, he did. Does Miguel hate us? Where's Miguel? Why is he here?
No, here's what's so strange. We got an email from Miguel like 3 or 4 days ago saying, how come I'm not at that convention? And we're like, get your ass over here, where are you? We don't know. It's an agent. He has a weird, that's whatever. We get booked for these conventions. He has someone who does it separately, and for some reason he's not here. We miss you, Miguel.
I think we ought to just mention if there's somebody not here who we wish dearly were here. Suicide.
We're all here, and we should have gone to the cemetery. I don't know how far away it is, but it's here in Illinois. Yes.
What's that?
I'm so upset we didn't film that.
He's buried here in Illinois.
Mikey, do you know what city he's in? Somebody knows, but that was
Party tonight at Mark's gravesite. No, I'm not.
God, that'd be
Probably not a great idea.
it would be fitting.
I like to party.
How about the rest, as far as the personalities into the character that they portray? James?
I'm sorry.
The director allowing your own personality to be in the character that you portrayed in the film. Were you able to?
Did Dan allow you to bring some of your own personality to the character?
No. Dan was so good to work with. He had. It was a new experience for him. I don't know. We've all talked about it, but I always thought the greatest thing that happened to us was that the producer, Tom Fox, gave us a rehearsal time, and we rehearsed it like it was a play. And I don't think anybody really knew each other before that. But by the end of that rehearsal, everybody had slept with everybody else. And so they really knew each other. And they felt free with each other. And
Jimmy is an amazing lover, by the way.
But it really, I think we were talking, Clue was talking, and he was not in the rehearsals, and I regretted it enormously that he wasn't, and he regrets because he got into the thing late, I think because he was asking for so goddamn much money. The rest of us were working for coffee and cake. And
You got cake?
Clue wanted icing. But at any rate, but it actually, for the kids, so extraordinarily good because they really did bond during the. You guys were kids at the time.
You know, James, I'm way down here. You know, one of the things I learned while we were filming is that, and I learned it from each of these actors, they'd rehearse for 2 weeks. And I started working with them when we were filming. And none of them were trying to be funny. None of them. They were playing it as seriously as I played Hamlet one time. They were so into these people, and I learned something from them. By the third day, I realized if I tried to be funny with Dan's lines, I would look like an idiot because they were not trying to be funny, and I guess Dan had taught them, you can't go with these lines. The lines are funny. Don't you be funny. It will magnify it into nothing. And so I had to become very quickly, very realistic with these wonderfully funny lines. And they said, don't be funny. That's what I got from even the kids. They were wonderful. They were so real. They hurt. Suicide was so into that role that I couldn't believe it. And so we all played it without humor. Every one of us. And there are big cast. And I really learned from that. And when I saw the final product, it was funny. And boy, did I learn from that. James, I really learned from you guys.
Well, and now I was there watching Clue like a hawk because I had been a great admirer of his work. And all I know is whatever happened there was a nice little miracle. It was a small picture that has a lot of legs, and some good ones too. So I bless every single member of this cast because it was just a wonderful experience. I've never had a better experience than working with them. Except for you, Don. You were a problem. With that goddamn Luger.
I want to hear a rebuttal on that, Tom. Come on.
But you know, everything worked. I mean, the Tar Man is such an inspirational idea. And you have Alan coming in with that marvelous body work that he did on it. Every little thing worked.
Well, actually, I played
Except-
Tarman totally for laughs, but they cut out all of my pratfalls.
You know, and when you knocked the head off, did you do it in one take?
Well, that scared the heck out of me. There was a little person, a stuntman, a little person, and I saw him many years later, and I said, why did you do that? I mean, what if I hadn't been coordinated? What if I had just been, you know, a bum with a baseball bat? And he said, Clu, you know, I had to make a living. We have to do that kind of thing. And in answer to James' question, we did that in one take, and the head was sitting on top of his head, the prosthetic head. And I hit it as hard as I could because I wanted it to sail up, and I wasn't an athlete. You know, like a couple of these kids were really, you know, Tom and John, they can do things with their body. I couldn't. So I hit it as hard as I could, hoping I would hit the head. And I did, and it sailed off. We did it in one take, James, and I'll never do that again because I shouldn't have done that. But Dan didn't know anything about that, and I didn't. He was the director. He said, you do that. I said, sure, yeah, I can do that. But I couldn't. But we did it. We did it.
The head hit Jewel. Yeah, the head actually hit Jewel.
Well, let me ask you this, a little bit aside, but James, besides an impressive film career, you worked with Buster Keaton. Do you have any stories about Buster or memories you can share with us?
Well, I can only tell you that he was my boyhood idol, and I was working in summer stock producing, and I took a chance and called him. And it's kind of a long story. I'll try to shorten it. He worked all his life. He never stopped working from the time he was 3 years old. And he just liked to work. And he had been one of the greatest stars in the world, and then had gone into a decline, not because of talkies. Buster made it into talkies. He had other problems, marital problems, drinking problems. But then he came back. He made one of those great comebacks and continued to work. So I called him. A guy owed me money who was doing a book about him. And I said to the guy, give me Buster's phone number, will you? And he said, oh, I couldn't do that. This was the Players Club in New York. That I couldn't do that. That wouldn't be right. I said, well, you owe me $350. Give me the phone number and I'll forget the debt. He said, oh, here's the phone number. So I called Buster and I said, is there anything you'd like to do in summer stock? He said, yeah. I said, what would you like to do? He said, Merton of the Movies. I said, well, I'll read it, and I read it, and Buster had seen it in 1919, and it was an 18-year-old boy that he wanted to play, and he was then close to 60. So I was trying to think what to do, and I'm standing again at the bar of the Players Club, and in walked the man who wrote Merton of the Movies, a fellow by the name of Mark Connolly. And I told him the story, and he said, oh, we must make everything work for Buster, anything for Buster. So he said, gave me a letter that I could rewrite the play in order to have Buster play Merton. So I said, oh, that's marvelous, Mr. Connolly. But I said, what about your, it was co-written with Kaufman. He said, oh, don't worry, Kaufman's in a coma. He's never going to come out, which was true. So we did this, and Buster turned out to be every boy's dream of what his idol should be. He was just a wonderful human being, hardworking, extraordinarily creative at that age. He never stopped changing the work. Nothing was ever quite perfect. You tried constantly to go for perfection. Although it was never there, you went for it. And it was just wonderful. It was the most creative period of my life working with Buster. I worked with him for the last 15 years of his life. And then when he died, his wife, Alba, my wife, and I sort of looked around, looked after Eleanor for many years. We just came back from the Buster Keaton Festival in Iola, Kansas. They have a big festival there every year. We've been doing it for about 20 years. So anything you want to say about Buster that's good, say it. Anything you want to say bad, I'll shoot you.
Thank you for those memories. So, while we're still a little bit off topic, Don wanted to ask you, we were doing some research and some folks wanted to know anything that you can tell us of some off-screen antics with Weekend at Bernie's.
Hello. I'm here. The light's on, right? Okay. You know, it was a labor of love. It's like this show. I just had a tremendous time on it, and I did all my own stunts, which I felt very good about. The final scene where I get wrapped up in phone court, our director, Ted Conchard, said, I have to leave to help my wife give birth. And we had a very nervous AD. So he shot it in a long shot, 23 takes. They couldn't put a mattress down for me to fall on. I got wrapped. The first thing you do, you couldn't do it. The stuntman told me, he said, drop down. He said, grip one foot out and drop down and let your ass hit the other foot and roll with it. And I still, it was agony, but it was, you know, it was terrific stuff. It was funny stuff. That was funny dialogue. It's funny. But anyway, it was just a labor of love. And the director, he just let us go. Anyway.
One of the things that Brian Peck didn't say was that, I don't think he said it, I couldn't hear you too well, but he was late because he was working with Martin Sheen and Charlie Sheen in a movie. Did you say that?
Yeah, I work with them on a TV series called Anger Management.
Okay. And how was Charlie? Was Charlie behaving?
Yes, and it's interesting you say that because I have a message I'm supposed to deliver, and I'll just do it in front of everyone. Charlie and James did a little movie together called Wall Street, and
I don't remember that.
Yeah. Well, you did. You did a movie. So Charlie, when I left him yesterday, unceremoniously in the lurch, so I could get on a plane to come here, and he knew I was coming to see you. I'm telling you, Charlie lit up like a Christmas tree and was like, oh my God, please give James Karen my love. We must get together for a drink. I haven't seen him in years. And he goes, and tell him that it was so hard to do scenes where, where you turn on him in the movie. And he said, by the way, that he's never forgiven you for turning on him in the film. And
I was paid a great deal of money. Otherwise, I never would have turned. I wouldn't have turned my back on him.
But Charlie says his love is dying to see you.
Oh.
To get a drink, and said that it was so hard to act like he didn't like you in the movie because he loved you so much in real life. That's from Charlie.
We had a very good time. Thank you. My love right back.
That was, that was like 28 years ago, and we're about 29 years ago. It was around the same year.
I think we were first.
Yeah.
Wall Street was 1988.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Oh, then yeah, we were before that a couple of years.
Yeah. I was already damaged goods by the time he got.
Well, talking about other projects, Bev, you've got a movie coming up with Eric Roberts, don't you? Beverly.
We just finished filming about 3 weeks ago, and it's a horror movie. It's full length, and I played Eric Roberts' wife and his head nurse. And I played a good girl again with a good mom, but we're not so good. So I'm really excited about it. It should be out next year. And Brian and I.
Oh, right. Oh, I forgot.
Cameo zombie parents in.
Yeah, there's a pretty big movie that Sony is doing that's coming out next year called Kitchen Sink, and it has zombies, vampires, aliens, and werewolves in it. Everything but the kitchen sink. And it's a little tongue-in-cheek and sort of Zombieland tone. And the writer-director of the film is a huge Return of the Living Dead fan. And Tony Gardner, who did the Split Dog and the Half Parts on our movie, is the head of the makeup effects department on Kitchen Sink. And one day he and the director the director mentioned that, Return of the Living Dead was a lot of inspiration for writing this movie, and that he had put a lot of homages. And Tony said, well, I worked on that. And he was like, what? Because Tony, by the way, still looks well. And the director was like, you worked on that? Anyway, so they got to talking, and one thing led to another, and Beverly and I, Mae Whitman, who's a great young actress who was on Parenthood and was in Perks of Being a Wallflower, she's one of the leads. She plays a teenage zombie girl, and there's a scene where she has a guy that she likes over for dinner, and Beverly and I are her zombie mom and dad, eating brains, by the way.
By the way, did you want to speak? No, go ahead. Go ahead.
A word about our illustrious writer director Dan O'Bannon. She reported 2 weeks rehearsal. Great. And Dan, I noticed, could become quite volatile. When we went from book to physically staging, if he didn't think you did it good, he'd say, I'll show you, and watch me. And he would act out your part, which will drive most out of his batshit crazy. And I said, oh my God, this guy's something to deal with. And he did come from Louisville, and that did have a huge collection of guns. And so I thought, well, in trouble, do the director. So I did his speech mannerisms and voices and all that, figuring that he would say, Jesus Christ, that's just the way I want it done. The guy's right on the money. I never had a problem with him. He was something to behold, but it was right there on the page. It was a great script. And no, I did not know it would be a cult film, but I just said, oh, this is something I really want to do. And then I found out that I was in this company that was two old fossils here. I never worked with bullshit. This guy, when I did, the Joe Hardy and the 29 Crash. The 29 Crash. That Joe
The
Hardy,
day the bubble burst.
The day the bubble burst.
Were you in that?
And I was going to work with this guy because when I saw the screening, he's a wonderful role in it. The guy who loses everything.
Except my virtue.
In one take, the guy is told that it's all over, and his face dropped to his knees. I said, who is this guy? He's wonderful. Find out I'm going to work with him, and this was an absolute treat. Oh yeah, I mean it. When I told him about his take, he said I went up in my lines.
I was. Go ahead. Go ahead, man. I was thinking of something else. I have to go back to Tony Gardner.
Yeah.
Do you remember what we did to him? We took, he was about 18 years old, and we took 20 years off his life.
I have, after Return of the Living Dead, it really is very unique and crazy about this movie because, you know, we started doing these conventions and reunions about 6 or 7 years ago now. And so before that, I mean, there was a good 20 years where we didn't really get to do this or didn't see much of each other. However, with the exception of the fact that I have roped James Karen into doing more ridiculous things on camera than any human should agree to do. I mean, I made this movie for $1.98 called The Willies, which Jimmy was kind enough to co-star in sporadically over a period of about 4 years.
Actually, it was 5 years because there was nothing. I never heard a word after some shooting, some stuff. And I get a call from Brian Peck, is that your name?
Yes.
Brian Peck, who said, do you know where that costume is, the janitor's suit? And I said, why? He said, I got some more money. I'd like to finish the movie. So I said, yeah, it's in my closet. And he said, oh, how about the glasses and the mustache? I said, they're in the pocket, the left breast pocket.
It's true.
We then went on shooting.
Yeah, he hung it in the closet. And so there's that. Clue let me build the set for this movie because Clue at the time and his wife were living in a warehouse downtown, like a loft-style warehouse, and it was the only place I knew of that was big enough to build the set in that I didn't have to pay for. So Clue kindly let me build the set in his warehouse and also does a brief cameo appearance in the film, which we shot at, I believe, around 3 in the morning. And so the story is that in this movie, we had to make a false head of Mr. Karen. And so Tony Gardner, again, roping more people into doing stuff for free for me, did a life cast of Jimmy's head at Rick Baker's makeup shop.
It's a horrible procedure, by the way.
So, and we were doing not just the face, but like the whole head. So, I mean, we covered him in the alginate, the plaster of Paris, and at one point when he's completely encased in plaster, you know, you can't talk or anything, so
you've got straws through your nostrils.
A couple little straws through the nostrils, yeah.
And you have to be very, very still.
Yeah. So Tony would occasionally say, you know, are you doing okay? You know, and Jimmy would be like, you know, kind of raise his hand or whatever. So at one point when he's completely encased, Tony goes, you doing okay, Jimmy? No response. Nothing. Jimmy, are you okay? Nothing. No movement. Tony then looks panicked, grabs his hand and does this, and Jimmy's arm just goes. And we look at each other. I literally I almost need to be defibrillated. And so I was like, I killed the guy from Poltergeist. Tony and I look at each other, and literally Tony is about to lunge for the plaster of Paris and just like, you know, crack it off his head. And from deep down inside we hear, it was a very, very, very mean joke.
How long do you have to leave that on your head for?
It's got to stay on there and dry. It's like a good like 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes of being completely mummified. Yeah.
Oh, it was more than that.
Yeah, it's,
Oh, one point,
it's
yeah.
I had that done to me once, and it's called the death mask, and it dries hard, and it gets hot when it's drying. It's terrible.
Do it once
feel
in one of the
free.
Star Trek movies. But I did give Jimmy as a kind gift. I didn't pay him anything to be in the movie, so I gave him his decapitated head after.
So one last question for James before we turn it over to the audience.
I'm sorry.
In Poltergeist, why did you just move the headstones and not the bodies? Why?
I don't know, but you don't look dumb, but there's no money in moving bones. Move the stones, but not the phones, nobody will ever know.
And Craig T. Nelson is mad at you.
And you know, they're just...
Now, James, for better or for worse, they're about to remake Poltergeist.
I heard.
Who would you like to play your part? Okay, Jules freaking out because she wants everyone to know, and this will come as no shock, she knew Charlie first.
All right, let's...
Oh, when he was 12.
Oh, wow.
Well,
Shame
the
on
authorities.
you.
That's some nice present you gave him.
all right, let's take some questions from the audience. Who has a question? Gentleman right up front. We got a microphone for you.
Awesome. Anyway, you guys made such an iconic, wonderful movie. A movie that is, I know everybody here has deep, fond memories of, and a movie that every day is finding new fans, young and old and everybody. When did you guys realize, either during or after, that you were a part of something so special?
Well, for me, there's a very specific moment. For the 20th anniversary, so that would have been 2005, in Los Angeles, there's a theater on Hollywood Boulevard. It's the sister theater to the Chinese theater, the Egyptian, which was built in the 20s. And it's now become the American Cinematheque, and it's historic. They show old movies, they have lectures, it's, really great place. And they did a 20th anniversary screening as part of a month of horror in August of 2005. And we were all invited to go. We were all invited to do a Q&A afterwards. It was the first time we had done anything like that. Dan was there, Dan O'Bannon, Bill Stout was there, and the rest of us. And it was sold out, and it was packed. And I came around I went and got a drink with some friends who came with me at a bar around the corner. And when I walked in the courtyard to go pick up my tickets, it looked like this. It was a sea of people. They had brought DVDs to sign, and it was a madhouse. And I went, what are they here for? And it was for the movie. And that was the first indication where I went, holy crap, really? Wow, that's awesome. So, and it was after that we started doing these conventions and starting to do all this. And I mean, the first couple of conventions, I was just like, really? Why? And now I've come to embrace the fact, I just figure if something I'm involved in, get acting. But it's very, we're all very blessed to have been part of the thing that became such a big thing.
There's a theater in New York, the Film Forum, which is one of the most distinguished film houses in the world. The fellow who runs it is considered the best film programmer in the world. He's used everybody from all over the world calls him and so I was working with him at the Turner Classic Movie Festival last year on a project, and he said, that film of yours, The Return of the Living Dead, he said, I've never seen it. He said, do you think it would work at the Film Forum? And I said, well, I don't know. You've got a kind of a foreign film egghead group there coming there. I said, I don't know. And he said, well, would you come and do a Q&A if I showed it? So I said, sure, we'll be in New York. Was it in May, I guess? And he put it in his programming, and I was nervous about it because I thought, Jesus, nobody is going to come. That audience is much too highbrow. They sold out, turned people away, and we had a great time with it, and people just loved the film. Loved it, absolutely loved it. And a nice time was had by all there. I was surprised.
All right, we have time for 2 more questions, so let's, this guy right here.
Suicide.
while you're still standing, will Bert and Ernie stand up as well? Look, there's Bert.
That's all. Cheers, guys.
There's Trash. Next year I want a Scuzz, damn it.
If anybody is wondering, I actually looked it up during the panel here. Mark Venturini is buried in Hillside, Illinois, in the Queen of Heaven Cemetery. It is literally 20 minutes away. So it's right down the street. My one question for all of you is, you can kind of, whoever wants to answer it can, but whenever you think fondly of the film, what is the one defining moment of the production that you remember whenever you think back?
For me, I'm gonna, it was one of my first, it's not about what the one particular moment, it's kind of the overall feeling for me, being an actor, and I remember just being so lucky because working with Dan and his cast, it was truly a collaboration, and I remember going home after like 2 weeks of shooting, and my mom said no to me. It was like, because I hadn't heard that in like 2 weeks, like 3 weeks. It was like, and then I realized what we were doing, and I hadn't heard no, and everyone was like working it out. So at that moment, I was actually driving to work one morning, and I started crying because I was so happy to be working, and I guess I realized how special it was, because it was just like, it was a give and take. It was such a growing, a great experience. So I think overall, it was just a great, family and collaboration. And I thank Dan and everybody here for that.
All I wanted to do my entire childhood was be in a movie, be on TV, see myself on screen. And I loved horror movies, and I particularly loved zombie movies. So, I just remember a moment when I was there, like, hitting zombies with a sledgehammer as they were busting through a window. And oddly enough, that was truly like a dream come true for me. That was like a dream come true moment. And I was like, I can't believe I'm on set with actors I've seen in movies who I admire, and I'm like hitting zombies with a sledgehammer. And then the fact that Dan let me come and help puppeteer the Half Corpse. I'm the one who recommended Tony Gardner for the job, and he actually got it, even though he looked 12. And I was the zombie crawling up through the ground. It really was, for me, felt like all the little Super 8 movies I made with my friends, where I got to do whatever the hell I wanted. And the fact that this was a real live, big production, written and directed by the man who wrote Alien, which I had the poster hanging in my bedroom, and he let me literally do all of that stuff and help out and contribute. It was just... What's that? Oh, yeah, well, no, I had to fight even to get in for an audition because my agent said that I wasn't right for any of the parts of the movie.
Well, you weren't.
That's true. To this day, I'm still not right for this one.
Didn't Tony make the Half Corpse for about 10 cents?
Oh, he made the original company that was hired to build the Half Corpse and the Split Dog took the money and left town. And so there was this last minute scramble to get the Half Corpse and that Split Dog done. And I recommended Tony because he was a buddy of mine. He was 21 at the time, or 20, working at Rick Baker's studio, and somehow, he was 20, and somehow it all worked out and he got the job. And he built the Split Dog in less than a week and built the Half Corpse in a little less than 2 weeks. And by the way, was working on Cocoon during the day, so only could work on those at night and not sleep, and had no money to do it.
All right, one last question.
You know what, we can actually do two if they're brief.
Before the tent flies away.
This is a question for Mr. Troutman. I don't think many people are aware that you're actually a very skilled puppeteer. And I first became aware of that after Brian Henson did a production in New York consisting of X-rated, mature Muppets.
Muppet Up, yeah.
Yes.
It's really funny if you
it definitely is. I was wondering if you could tell us some of your highlights of puppeteering and any weird stories working with Brian Henson.
Weird stories about Brian. No, Brian is great to work for. I first started working with the Jim Henson Company back in 1990, before Jim died. Some of you, if you come by the table, you'll see some photos from dinosaurs on the table there from the series from the 90s. Yeah, I was Fran's puppeteer, the mother, the mama. So that was an animatronic character, so that I was doing basically all of the mechanics and everything, doing the dialogue and all that. But I had been doing puppets, even before I did this, back in college I was working as a puppeteer. I continue to do that now. Most of my work now is as a puppeteer. There's a series I'm working on right now that you can go to, it's on this new channel called Fusion, which is not covered by many cable stations, but if you go to fusion.net and look for Good Morning Today, you'll see clips from this new series that's kind of really crazy, so I recommend it highly. Now, Brian Henson in particular, I don't know. He's just, he's great to work for. We had a great time working on Puppet Up. We've been touring all around the country and around the world with this puppet improv show. And it's just been a tremendous amount of fun. So, I don't know, was there anything specific you wanted?
Anything
No.
worries.
No.
Just out of habit, Alan would try and put his hand up our ass while we were shooting. There's that.
All right, Adolfo, one more?
One more. All right, gentlemen, right back there.
You know, I would think as generations go, that fame would dwindle. And we're being told tonight that it's just gets bigger and bigger. This is wonderful.
Insanely bigger.
Yeah.
That is one of the phenomena.
Hey, you know what?
The fact that
The only criticism I ever heard about this film came from Jules Brenner, the DP on the film. During the Q&A times, he said, you know, Don, that first week's Morton Cotton, I thought it was awful. I wouldn't say that. Of course, he didn't. So by the end of the film, the subtlety and the fire of when I thought of this character. Oh, shut your fucking mouth.
By the way, we all really want to thank you guys, who are a wonderful, wonderful audience, wonderful fan base, and none of this would have happened without you.
All right, I just wanted to say you all were so wonderful, and I love this film so dearly. Everyone was so wonderful in it. And I didn't get to hear Linnea say much, so I'm going to ask her a question.
Yeah, Linnea, come on.
I just wanted to say that the most memorable moment of this film was when Linnea came onto the tombstone and started dancing. To this day, cameras are rolling and people are just like amazed. She's so beautiful and interesting. I mean, you're just getting better.
That was interesting, that's for sure.
Well, you know, I mean, a lot of people call Jamie Lee Curtis the Scream Queen, and she's wonderful, and all respect to her, but to me, you're the Scream Queen. So.
Well, thank you. And I don't take Activia either.
But my question was, whenever you have your famous scene, whenever the bunch of old men get around you and start biting and eating you alive,
yes.
What was going through your mind?
I was just thinking of a bunch of old men start biting and eating me alive. First, they will tear. Oh, I can't tear it. But that's what I started thinking about.
You sold it amazingly. All of you were amazing.
Well, thank you.
I'm honored to be here.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, one more time for the return of the living dead.
Ladies and coming.